Hello everyone. We promised that we'd get a tracker to you which you could use in order to keep progress logs of your learners. We've done that and we've made it accessible on the internet so that you can access it anywhere that you've got an internet connection. And also we've designed it so that multiple users can edit it at any one time. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this, and I'll also provide you with a guidance document so you haven't got to keep returning to this video. This is an introduction for you so you can see what the database actually does. In order to access it, if you go to your browser, okay, and you need to type in a URL at the top, although I will make sure that that is provided to you as a link so you don't have to remember it all the time. Okay, it's http:///1drv.ms/1msrbsp. You might note that some of those letters are uppercase. I think it's case sensitive, so you might need to remember to put those in if you are making a note of this right now. Okay, once you've typed the URL in, press enter and you'll see that it takes us to the database via Excel Online. Got a bit of a slow connection here today, so it might take a wee while to load, and it is quite a big database. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just close this little row up a little bit so that I can see what I'm doing. Now, once you get in there, you'll see that there's a button which says Edit in Browser. You will need to click that button, otherwise you won't be able to edit anything. So, we click on that and wait for it to load. That's a safeguard, if you like, to stop anything happening without you actually saying you want to edit. And here you'll see an online version of all the usual Excel tools. You won't need those. My screen here is quite small. I'm working on a very small laptop, but you should be able to see a little bit more of the data. Right then, I'm going to pretend I'm Emma, okay, Emma McKenna. So you'll see the first two columns in pink are the English and Maths staff first name and the English and Maths staff last name. So I'm going to go on last name and I'm going to select the auto filter and go down to filter. This will give me all the options here. So I said I wanted to go to Tracy. I've unselected everything so I can just select Tracy. Okay. So then it should load up with all Tracy's students, and you can see here that there are all Tracy's students. Right, the first in the column is student RAG status. Now this is where you make a decision on whether your student is red, amber or green at this stage, and these will be updated on a regular basis. So let's say Christian Fletcher is red for whatever reason. If you click in that cell, you'll see that there's a little drop down arrow, and you can then select which colour you think that student is. And on this occasion we think he's red. Okay. A reason for why you think that student's red? Okay, the choice here is attendance, work progress, or attendance and work progress, or other. Now, in terms of this database, this is about whether you think that student is going to pass or not. So that's why it narrows it down to just attendance and work progress. If they're not coming, they're not learning, or if their work progress is not sufficient, they're not going to pass. You might want to put notes at the end if there are other issues that you wish to be explored. So let's put attendance in here, so we've got a log of that. You can see that a lot of the data is already pre-populated for you, so we've tried to take out a lot of the hard work. Okay, let's go along. We need you to put in the parent program, and we're going to give you some further advice on how to make sure that you have a consistent way of entering that, because if you're not consistent, we won't be able to sort it into group areas. So watch this space. We're talking at the moment about how we might help you to do that. Parent programme level, this is their vocational course. So let's say your learner is on a level 1 course, so you'd put that in there. It goes up to level 3, you just can't see it on this screen. Okay, let's scroll across. This is where we put progress coach or personal tutor once we know them, and again we'll be giving you further guidance on that as we go forward. Okay, now we know that Tracy is a maths tutor, so we've got a whole load of maths stuff here. It says that it's maths, and it says what level that student is enrolled onto. The student is enrolled onto level 2 maths. Okay, and it's a GCSE, so again that's pre-populated for you. The English columns here are greyed out because this is just about maths for this student, so we can go past those until we get to the maths. And this is where we're asking you certain questions about about the students and what they've actually come up with. So initial assessment level, it's asking you here, what do you know that the student got? Again, there's a drop down menu. Let's say that they got E3 in their initial assessment. Going across, this has been filled in already while we were testing it, but we can overwrite. So maths BKSB diagnostic, what did they get? Let's assume that you've done the diagnostic correctly and you've done it at the level to which the learner has enrolled on their English and maths. Let's say that this student only got 55% in their diagnostic. That would go in there. Now at various points you're going to be giving students mock exams, and then they're going to do real exams, etc. This column here will allow you to put in various things. So again, you won't be able to see the whole thing on the screen on this tiny computer, but you will when you actually look at it on your own monitor. It's got 6 choices. You can see 4 of them. Mock pass or mock fail, that's when you give them a mock exam. Exam pass, exam fail, and the 2 that you can't see are resit pass and resit fail. So depending on what you've got there and the time of the year, you can populate that with the required content. If this particular student is going to be part of an internal verification sample that either Emma or Tracy allocate, then you can put a date in here for when that IV sample will be happening. Obviously, we're not going to be able to internally verify every single assessment that takes place, but we can plan for the verification of a cross spread of learners depending on what they're doing and which tutors we're going to be sampling. So Tracy and Emma will get back to you with which students and which components of the qualification they want to be internally verified. And that's where the IV will look at the assessment decisions to work out whether it's an accurate assessment decision or an inaccurate assessment decision. So, going back, we'd be internally verifying things like mock exams possibly. So let's put in there mock fail, so we've got a record of that. The IV person, the name of the internal verifier will go in here, so we can put in anything relevant in there. And once it has been internally verified and the IV has stated whether the assessment was accurate or not accurate, you can put in the result there. Let's pretend that this internal verification outcome was flawed. We know that then we'd have to go back to the assessor and work with them to ensure that they're standardised and they become accurate. Okay. So, finally, we've got this column AK, which tells you whether the learner has actually completed the whole process or not. And in this case, they've not yet passed because they've not done their exam or passed it yet. So in maths, if we put in exam pass, click in the actual cell and select the relevant drop down, as we go along you should see that the Maths Complete has now turned to Pass. And we can type notes in there if we need to. Okay, let's just do one more. Let's find one of Emma's. So again, clear all the filters, and we should always do that at the end anyway. And let's go to Emma McKenna. Where are you, Emma? There you are. And I'll show you how the English works, because the English is slightly more complex in that it's got 3 components that all need to be passed for both IGCSE English and for Functional Skills English. So we need to keep a track on those. So I'm going to whiz past the things that I've already showed you and go to, we've done the initial assessment, we've done the diagnostic. So reading results. So there are 3 components, aren't there? Let's say reading result, exam fail at this point. Skip past the IV bits. Right result, let's go to that. Let's say that that's a pass, an exam pass. Let's say we've done this sort of later on in the year. Speaking and listening result, let's say that's a pass. So we've got 2 out of the 3 exam passes. So we can see as we go along, let's whiz past the maths, that they've not yet passed, because they've only got 2 out of the 3 components. So we can't say that that is a pass yet. But if they then go back and we put an exam pass in there, we should then see, when we get to the English column, that it's now a pass, because all 3 components have been passed. So this will allow us to do cross-college reporting. It'll allow you to print off your trackers. It'll allow us to share the trackers with the faculty areas, and also it means that we've got all the data tracking in one place. As I said, I will give you some additional guidance on all of this so that you can get familiarised with it. Remember, at the end of this, always take off the text filters for your name so that other people can access their bits. If someone's forgotten to clear the filter, you can clear it here, or you can go to data at the top here, and you should be able to make sure that if there is data that is selected, that you can clear it in one fell swoop. Okay, thank you very much for listening. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll be sending out more guidance on when we roll this out, so watch this space.